Tensions between Canada and India are at a high after Canada's Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, said this.
The past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
Now, Canada and India have a long history. Canada is home to one of the largest communities of Indian origin, a major Indian student community, and a significant Punjabi and Sikh population. The two countries also rely on each other for importing some specific items. So just how closely are India and Canada tied to each other, and how bumpy have Indo-Canadian relations become? Welcome to another episode of The Data Point. Today, we're taking a look at Canada and its relationship with India. After Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said that agents of the Indian government were responsible for the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Canadian citizen, diplomatic relations between the two have really soured. Nijjar was shot by two masked gunmen while leaving a gurudwara in Surrey in June. Nijjar was the head of the Khalistani Tiger Force and was declared a terrorist by India in 2020 for his involvement with the Khalistani separatist movement. Since the allegations, Canada expelled the head of Indian intelligence, and it also suspended negotiations for a free trade agreement with India. India, in return, stopped issuing visas to Canadians and accused Canada of providing a safe haven for anti-India extremists, an issue that has come up before. The flare-up in these tensions has ended up affecting Indians in both Canada and India. Indians who had planned to visit Canada are anxious, and the Indian government told Indians in Canada to be cautious due to the, quote, growing anti-India activities and politically condoned hate crimes and criminal violence in Canada, unquote. So just how intertwined are India and Canada? Let's start with immigration. In the 2021 Canadian census, 1.3 million people identified their origin as Indian. So that's about 4% of Canadians. Canada also has the largest Sikh population outside India. An Indian immigrant in Canada is someone who has been given permission to live there forever. This includes people who later become Canadian citizens. When we look at Canada's population, the breakdown shows us that 22.6% are immigrants. Indian immigrants make up the largest share at 2.4% of the population, which is higher than China and the Philippines. Indian immigration to Canada peaked in the 2016 to 2021 period. Before that, immigrants were predominantly Chinese or Filipino. Reports say that one big reason for this uptick in recent years is because of the restrictions immigrants faced in the United States under then-President Donald Trump. Including the 2.4% Indian immigrants, in total, 4% of Canadians identify their origin as Indian. Of this 4%, 20.8% also identified themselves as Punjabis, and 7.6% identified themselves as Tamil. Those are the two dominant groups in Canada. Not all Indians in Canada had migrated to the country in recent years. A high share of Punjabis, Tamils, and Goans have settled in the country for generations. A first-generation immigrant is someone who has just immigrated from another country. Their children would be considered second generation, and their grandchildren would be considered third generation. For instance, of all the people of Punjabi origin in Canada, 30% are second or third generation immigrants. Among Tamil immigrants, second and third generation make up 34%. And when we look at where Canadian Indians live, we see that 56.7% of them live in Ontario, which is where Toronto and Canada's capital, Ottawa, are located. 20.5% live in British Columbia, which is where Vancouver and Surrey is. The two countries also do rely on each other for trade. Canada depends on India for medicine. The total medicine import to Canada from India amounted to $1.7 billion between 2018 and 2022. However, that accounted for only 4% of Canada's medicine imports, so the dependence on India is low, even though the amount is big. On the other hand, dependence on India for diamonds is high. With Canada depending on India for 44% of its diamond needs, it amounts to a total of $0.7 billion. On the other hand, India depends on Canada heavily for fertilizers. 31% of India's fertilizer needs were fulfilled by Canada between 2018 and 2022. India's dependency on Canada for newsprint is also high. And while India does import a lot of coal from Canada, Canada's share in total coal imports of India is low. So given all this, it looks like diplomatic relations between India and Canada are going to be rocky for some time. India has now asked Canada to remove 41 diplomats from India by October 10th. If they don't leave by then, India has threatened to revoke their diplomatic immunity. Canada's foreign minister said that the two governments are discussing the issue privately, but whether Canada retaliates remains to be seen. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Hindus YouTube channel so that you don't miss the next one.